So welcome back, Baer Faxt viewers. We're joined by Kelly Freeman from Art Market Productions. She's a big guru, not just for the Atlanta Art Fair, but a few others around the country.
Thank you.
Regional art fairs, that's kind of what's on our mind. Are you okay with that term?
Yes, I am. I like that term. I've been using it for a long time, actually.
And in New York, is that thought of as in a pejorative way, or you think, how is that perceived?
I guess it depends on who you ask. But for me, the idea of a regional show just means something a bit more specific to its place, right? And you can have a regional show in New York, I suppose, or a regional show in LA, but that's not really the conversation people have been having lately.
I mean, New York is a little bit provincial too, in our own ways. I mean, you live here.
We all have, I mean, it's so interesting. I think everyone is so divided by neighborhood and I don't know that provincial would be the word that I would use. I think that no matter where you are, it's like you have people kind of fighting for resources and trying to get ideas out and build platforms that make sense for conversation, for development. I don't think the conversations are unique place to place. I mean, the conversations themselves are, but the conversations about trying to build something specific, I don't think that that's unique.
So would you say something specific about Atlanta? And I would assume what's really specific there is the African American community and culture there. Is that the...
Diversity is such an amazing part of that city.
Diversity is still a good word, by the way. So is equity, and I would argue so is inclusion, but...
I agree, very much so.
We're now out of business.
I know, yeah, right, goodbye forever. No, hopefully not forever. But, for me, being able to go into Atlanta and build something that tries to feel like it's part of the city has been a very remarkable challenge. We've been working on it for a long time. And, I live in New York. I don't get to be in Atlanta all the time. And so I have to make sure that I'm building out a network of people who can kind of keep me honest and tell me what voices need platforms, what space makes sense for gathering, and how we can actually build something that feels real, and not superimposed. That's always a big challenge for us.
So how big is that community of people? Is it 10, 20, 50? I remember when a close friend of mine went to work in San Antonio, and he would say there's like 2 people that he would see on a regular basis. That was his core from going from the Guggenheim to Pace. So how big is that?
It's bigger than you think. I mean,
network?
The stats, right? So I'm looking at 6.8 million people live in the Atlanta area. And I think that every time I go down there, I'm meeting someone new within the art space. There's a huge network of not-for-profit institutions, just cultural gathering spaces. It's bigger than I think I originally thought, which maybe shows some internal bias on my end coming in from New York, where I'm like, oh, it's everything that's not in New York is going to be a little bit smaller, but it really doesn't feel that way. We have over 40 cultural partners participating in the Atlanta Art Fair alone, and that's just like, it's indicative of the fact that there's so much happening down there. I think it's a bigger network than
And how cooperative are they? I've noticed over the years that when you get to even a city like Los Angeles, people were fighting over their turf. The galleries wouldn't see each other. They thought they had to keep their collector to them. They had to really guard it in. I hope LA's not like that anymore, but I could imagine there could go either way in Atlanta.
One of the things that I noticed first that it really struck me in Atlanta is that every time I'd go down there, I'd get invited to something that I hadn't planned on attending. Because there's this it feels like such a communal spirit of idea sharing. One of the first meetings I took was in Melissa Messina's Mildred Thompson estate. She's actually our head curator this year for some public projects at the fair. And she sat me down in a group of about 30 women, all arts professionals in Atlanta, so they could ask me questions about the fair and my ideas, and then tell me what they thought would make sense. And I remember looking around that room of women being like, I don't know that I would see this in New York. I don't know that I would see this many people from different parts of the art world kind of coming together to not only talk about my project, but it was all chat about, I have this, do you need some of it? And it felt very inspiring. I'd never encountered something like that in my professional time here in the art world. And I remember being so struck by it and thinking I better, step my game up in terms of being able to create something.
Because even in New York, it's like you go to a big gallery dinner and there's no other gallerists there. And it's considered poor form to go there. And I think it's a little bit crazy.
Listen, I don't think I'm
kind of
invited to a lot of stuff in Atlanta that's going. I mean, I
I mean,
like
are the
to,
dealers, we're
but
doing a
whenever I
dinner.
am, places,
Do
they're
they have
all
other,
there.
are other gallerists at dealers?
Oh, yes.
Openings and dinners?
Absolutely.
So then they're not like saying, you can't come because I have my client there. It's a little bit more open.
It feels that way very much to me, but again, like I can't pretend to be the know-all expert of Atlanta, but whenever I look around, I'm struck by the fact that there are so many people within the art space in one place who technically have the same job, if you know what I mean.
So let's get down to what's been in everybody's mind for a long time. Another email this morning from one of the Baer Faxt readers complaining about art fair prices, and they're raising the prices because they're more competitive and they're not on our sides. And I'm just like, I'm going, wait a second, I think art fairs are struggling to be profitable too. I mean, what about this perceived or real crisis in the art fairs?
Well, you know, again, we operate a slightly different model than I think kind of the bigger art fairs in the country. Like, we try to keep our pricing very, very, very achievable for galleries. Like I remind my team all the time that galleries are small businesses, just like we are, and we have to take care of each other and kind of nurture an ecosystem where people can still afford to work with us, and there's still value in making a point to, you know, financially participate in the show. I'm fully aware of the costs of shipping and travel and getting your team there and taking your clients out for dinner, and it's excruciating. And I think for me, we've made a point to keep our prices very static and very low for the last 10 years.
But is it, for the bigger ones, is it that they don't want to keep their prices low? I'm sure they would prefer to. They just
I would like
can't.
to think. I mean,
just
how can people keep prices fully static in a world where inflation is so, you know, it's permeating every part of our lives? But, and again, like shipping costs are going up, not just for galleries. We have to ship our equipment around the country. We have to ship ourselves around the country. The cost of marketing and promotion and getting in front of collectors who we need to then bring into our gallery partners, all of that is more expensive.
And are you seeing galleries thinking, maybe some of these big high-profile ones are great, but they're too expensive. I maybe should stick to a more modest cost basis, or cutting back art fairs completely?
Perhaps, but like, you know, their aspirational shows are important, and it's an important part of an artist's and a gallery's experience in the art world is, you know, getting into these the bigger shows. And I understand that there's compelling reason to do so. I've been in business for over a decade, and I have a lot of repeat customers, and I'd like to think it's because we present an alternative, though I think what we're doing is so different that maybe it's not even really deemed an alternative. It's just another way of getting to know a specific community.
So explain that.
Well, it's interesting. So I've been running the Seattle Art Fair, the San Francisco Art Fair, and the Atlanta Art Fair. I run the Art on Paper Fair. It's a slightly different story, it's a medium-driven show, so also relatively specific. But Seattle and San Francisco and Art on Paper have been around for over a decade, and though a few took a few years off around COVID. And, you know, when you come and do the Seattle Art Fair, you are going into the mechanism that is Seattle and the Pacific Northwest. You'll interact with the Seattle museums. You'll interact with the Seattle collectors. You spend time with the Seattle-based galleries, and it is a very specific experience. Like, I like to think that people are traveling in from out of town to attend the shows. I think they are, but I think the bulk of the visitors to that fair, the collectors who go to that show, are Pacific Northwest based. And that's different than what happens at the Armory Show or Basel, Miami, where one of the goals is to become, you know, a gathering place for people from all around the world. So it's just different.
Well, each one of those has sort of a distinct brand, Seattle, Atlanta. So I look at the bigger brands. It's like Freeze. What would I do? And it's like, or Art Basel. I would say, imagine that Art Basel in the US rotated every year or 2 years. It's like, I think people have been to the Rebel Museum 20 times. Well, not the museum, but the Rebels. They've been to Marty Margulies 25 times. They've been to all these places over and over. Now, if they didn't run the convention center, it's like, I'd like to have that fair show up in, I don't know, Houston. It's like, I've been to Houston 40 years. They'd roll out the red carpet, and the next year was Minneapolis. If I was Freeze in London, I'd be like, well, why can't we do it in Liverpool? And get a train to take everybody up there, to move it around to make it sort of fresh. I think as we go forward, it doesn't relate to you that much, but we need to come up with new solutions for people saying the art fair model is broken.
I completely agree. And I think that, while we do, of course, I'm going to bring it back to myself. Hello. But while, we're kind of static in the communities in which we operate, I think we give galleries who aren't based in those communities the ability to come in and experience something. It's always, for me, I don't expect galleries to have to do one of my fairs every year, especially if they're coming in from out of town and paying these expenses. Like, be strategic with it. If you have an artist showing in a local museum in the coming year, come on in and show at the fair and get to know a collector base, take advantage of that moment and start building relationships. I think you're onto something there with the traveling art fair model. I think there are infrastructure issues, of course, at play. And also at that point, you're expecting everybody who attends an art fair not everybody, but a large percentage of people who attend art fairs to be, able to kind of change their travel schedule or hop to a new place every year and always be able to support something new, where I think part of an art fair is also going into a community and teaching and educating and taking the years it takes to make sure that people are aware of not only an art fair, but the arts in that community.
But I think it's hard for the people in the community. I remember showing when Chicago was the only really American fair, and I would show there, and it was a great city full of great collectors. And each year the big collectors home would be just the 20 people they knew, then it was 30, then it was 80, then they didn't want to do it. And that's the danger for how to keep it fresh for the community and for the visitors.
I know, it's such an interesting challenge all the time. For us, like, one of the ways we kind of play around with making things unique for a visitor is just try to take kind of a different angle in every so often. Like in Seattle, we just did a big focus on glass that we've been building over the last couple of years, where we brought in the Corning Museum and a bunch of other institutions from around the country to then partner up with the Museum of Glass, who's doing live glass blowing out front of the fair, and create this. There's already so much interesting glass in Seattle. Dale Shahuli is there, Sarah Traver's there. They're amazing dealers and artists who kind of live and work the medium. But it's just, that's a little focus then that we could bring in, a little view into something specific that we brought to that community. And we're gonna have to change that up again.
And if the community wants the regional fairs to work, the people in that community have to go and buy art.
Agreed.
And we know there's, 50 people worth over $100 million or whatever in Atlanta. All 50 have to go there. Listen, they can buy something for $5,000. If they want that sort of like civic pride thing to happen. I don't know that they do that, but it's sort of, that keeps the whole city going.
Art fairs and museums kind of share this common goal. And I think it's one of the reasons why, like, the High Museum has been willing to work with me in
They need to put their best show of the year on.
But they also, it's like this
when
thing
the fair is happening.
Well, and it's cultivating an audience that is existing within their walls and supporting them on a year-round basis. And it's one of the things I always talk to my participating galleries about, that, like, yes, success means selling at an art fair, but in my book, success for the fair means that you're meeting people who will buy from you on a year-round basis. Like, those are always the best stories for me.
Well, if your basic costs are less, then you can see it more as that. When it's like your whole business model depends on Basel or Miami, you're in a different kind of struggle.
Bit more of a gamble, but I do think these days so many galleries are looking at art fairs as an inherent marketing expense. You know, it's, as we used to take out ads in different publications, more of that is being kind of filtered into the art fair model.
Probably best to advertise in the Baer Faxt than in the big art publications, but everybody knows that.
But because you are of the same ilk, it's direct conversation, right? It's this model of sales through relationship building.
So let's talk about direct conversations. You must be talking to the galleries all day, every day. Certainly there's a little bit of like the sky's falling kind of thing. What are your discussions from your clients? I think of the galleries as your clients. What are they telling you?
At this point, you know, there was an interesting high kind of coming out of the inherent tragedy of COVID, and we all got to come back together. And I think now there's a correction, and so many of the galleries who I work with have been through times like this before, not specific to this time, but you know, the 2008 correction and things that have, like, it is nothing new to have a market retrench. And I think that galleries know, just like every small business that can ride out a storm, knows how to pivot, right? Focus more on relationship building, figure out how to meet your collectors in a way that makes sense for them. Are you reworking your pricing models? Are you refocusing on a different kind of scale of artwork that is saleable in a different way? Like, it's a scary time, I think, for a lot of galleries, and many of them who I talk to are very optimistic about opportunity coming out of those moments where it's like, okay, we're gonna band together and idea share and cost share and try to figure out how to weather a storm in a more symbiotic manner. I think it's also, again, about like, you know, we can't keep relying on the same, like you said, you referenced the 50 people in a community who can quote unquote support an art fair or an arts ecosystem. I think like it's times like these, even more essential that we go to people who don't necessarily think of collecting art as being part of their civic duty, and we show them how to do it. And that's where art fairs can be helpful, in my opinion, where especially fairs like mine where we try to be quite friendly, like, come on in. All of these people want to talk to you. Not everything is already sold. They're here to teach you. There's something here for you if you want to talk about it. Let's do it together.
And I think the big fairs kind of missing that point. So they rely on day 1 and 2 to blow it out, and then the guy's name is on the door is gone. By day 5, you've got 3 people sitting at a table typing, and no one's talking.
The art is still there, you know, and I do think that the big fairs are beautiful and grand senses of occasion, and I always feel excited when I get to go, and I think that a lot of people feel that way too. I just think it's different, right? I think we need a new language or ways to communicate with this new audience. And the tendency is to use our same language and our same methodologies, and we need to learn to meet them where they are. So for you, that's sort of an education kind of thing. For galleries in the local, it's a little easier to say, nice to meet you, why don't you come by, see my show or something like that. This is here for you. You know, that's the thing, that's the message that we try to shout from the rooftops through our programming and through the words that I say to whoever will listen to me. It's like, all of this is here for you. It's here for you in kind of an easy to navigate way at the art fair, but it's here for you in your city.
What are the attendance like?
Well, in Atlanta, we had 12,000 people come last year, which is it felt fantastic. I was very happy to see that. In my San Francisco and Seattle shows, which are actually just quite bigger, they're just larger, the venues are bigger. We have 20 to 22,000. It's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people there that could be collecting art.
And many of them are.
And maybe they don't know who Larry Gagosian is. But there's still, we're looking at that. By the time this is out, people see like the changes we're making. But I think art fairs are positioned to handle scale. Auction houses are positioned to handle scale. Galleries, not so easily.
I think that it's one of the reasons why we'll potentially see more gallery models becoming kind of cost share spaces. Like if you look at Minnesota Street Project.
I've been thinking about that a lot because I've been talking to galleries like, do you really need one registrar at 6 galleries, or can 2 registrars in the same building do what 6 of them do?
Well, and like Minnesota Street Project, have you spent time there in Dogpatch in San Francisco? It's wonderful. It was founded by the Rappaports. God, I forget how long ago. I want to say 10 years, but I could be wrong. And we'll have to look at exactly what the number of galleries is, but it's definitely near 20 of like wonderful contemporary programs. They share a packing station, they share a cafe, it's, within the gallery, it's gallery space and a tiny little office with room for someone, and the rest is about sharing. And
you don't need 20 people to receive packages.
No.
One person can receive them for 20.
And then they have group openings too, where they all get to benefit from having people in the room, which I think answers an earlier question you asked, which is, are dealers holding tight and not inviting each other in? That's a model of dealers really working together.
But it has to not feel like a mall.
100%. And that's good design.
And that's the right place. I was in Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
There's
lucky.
a lot of interesting things going on there. But the least interesting was all these galleries in this former shopping mall. And it was you'd go around, and it's a culture of hospitality. So each time you walk in, they're bringing this Arabic coffee and a date. So after like 12 of them, it's a little bit tough to I can't
You've
be
had
rude.
a lot of dates.
You've had a lot of coffee, and I understand the dates now, but it felt like a mall. So how to do it and not feel like Minnesota Street certainly comes to mind for that. I think of the campus upstate, not that I've been.
Good call. I haven't been up there either, but boy, would I like to.
Yeah, it's like, I think we need new solutions.
I agree.
And this is, I've said it a million times, don't waste a crisis. And understand who your audience is.
And find ways to make them feel welcome. That's what we say over and over and over within our office. I have 5 people who we all work together, and then we hire experts within the communities in which we operate. But our main thing always is, you have to, of course, with an art fair, it's inherently temporary. We're putting walls up, we're taking them down in the matter of days. But within that, the permanence that we have to construct to make sure that the artwork has a sense of place, this notion of just being there and being approachable and trying to make people feel like they could come in and that no question is dumb, and that you can just participate in the way that you would like. I'd like to think that there's a trickle-down effect to eventually having those people become comfortable enough to realize that they don't, instead of a handbag that week, they can buy a beautiful photograph. And it's just retraining people by giving them the language they need to feel comfortable interacting with the space.
I think it's a generational thing that the computer has become the source of communication. And too many people have only communicated that way. And then interpersonal things freak them out.
They become scarier.
On both sides.
Yeah, totally. But also, think about walking into a gallery and it's silent, and you've got to kind of fumble your way up to the front desk.
And I
be
know
like,
that
hello.
person in the front desk is actually, shopping on Amazon and doing Fresh Direct, but they're looking like they're like cracking the nuclear code.
It's intimidating if you haven't done that before. It's like going to get a custom suit made or something. They're asking you all these questions.
We want it to be intimidating so that if you can qualify to get past the gatekeepers, you're in the inner circle.
And that's all fine and good. And that model has served a very specific group very well for a long time. But at a certain point, those of us who don't make it through the pearly gates, who can still, make an acquisition for that sweet spot of under 50,000 that everyone's talking about right now, you got to build room for them too, I think.
Yeah, and I think in a gallery, you get the attitude in 5 seconds when you walk in. Do they want me here or not?
And I always think too, for me, I'm I'm making a lot of that up because of my deep-rooted social anxiety. But like I'd like to think that if I had a question, maybe they would answer, but I don't know. It remains to be
Of course,
seen.
when I go in, please don't talk to me. I'm kind of like Roberta Smith. It's like, if I need you, I'll come. So I'm generalizing to gallery staff, just like, read the room. I don't want to be talked to if I have a question. I've been at it 50, 60 years. I know how to find you. But in general, there is kind of an attitude. And when I would stand in art booths, art fair booths on the other side, I would be on my feet the entire fair, talking to pretty much anybody who came in. It's like old school, time for old school.
Old school, and I feel like that's where I kind of came up in the space. Like, I remember Catherine Clark. Do you know her? Katie Clark? Catherine Clark Gallery in San Francisco. She's wonderful and has taught me so much about what it takes to make people feel welcome in a space. And like, she is the consummate pro in her high heels with her beautiful dress, just making people laugh and engaging them and telling them stories and making them realize that like this thing that they think is beautiful can actually, it can go and live with them in a relatively reasonable way. Like it's exciting, and like there's that sense of joyful occasion still, and I love it, and I think that we can, I don't know, look
Here's
to it
another
more.
thing, maybe I'll use it as an op-ed. I think a lot of people don't actually know how to sell who are in the position of selling. And no one's taught them how to sell. And they think, well, they used to think sending out a PDF and waiting for the emails to come was selling. And I think I may explore this before this comes out. It's like, no one trains anybody what that means. I mean, you came out of the corporate world also. What lessons might you take from the corporate world that you apply to the art world?
Organization, and also like just, that's a great question. I mean, I was at UBS and Citigroup right before the 2008 crash, and so I certainly would take out of it that everything is transitory and things get better and things get worse and we have to adapt. But for me, organization, follow through, like this notion that's kind of a one and done conversation of like, I send out a PDF or I take down your number and I put you in our mailing list. Like, no, it's a relentless pursuit to forge relationship. And that's the only way you stand out in the fray. Like, they're all getting, and we all in the universe these days are getting solicited by hundreds of thousands of things every day. We only pay attention if it's somebody that we know or remember, or if it feels like it's actually for us. So it's a roundabout way of saying just beat down the doors until you can forge a friendship. And like, if you have that authentic connection, and if you can actually be something, another place that I'd bring that would be become a real trusted resource. Know enough to be able to answer questions about not just the thing that you're trying to sell, but to provide context that makes sense, to be able to recommend things that you're not directly selling that will benefit that
Here's
person.
an easy rule. If you're in the gallery and somebody comes in, they say, what do you think of that piece at the gallery next door? And if you don't like it, you need to be able to say that, but you can't follow it by saying, but my thing here is much better. You have to say, but at Gallery C, go look over there.
Go see an example of such and such over there.
Right, but I'm going to tell you, 90% of salespeople will bring it back to themselves. Oh, look what's in my back room. I have a better one.
I always think it's about trust, right? Like this, if you do that too many times, when it's like, I'm just going to bring it right back down and around to the thing that I'm selling you, like you just kind of wear out the trust of the person. I would imagine.
But people are so not desperate sometimes, which we can read, but they're just so insular. It's like when I walk around galleries with a client, since I'm an art advisor, it's amazing. There are 50 places with masterpieces. It's like, I don't think that's really possible. Oh, this is a masterpiece. Oh, it's the greatest thing, place after place. It's like, that's just not true. But they all feel the need to like couch that in some way. It's like,
and I get it though,
because we haven't trained anybody how to do this as a business.
Well, maybe we just need more words to be able to use to describe why something's important. because everything can be important and it can be meaningful to the artist. Maybe it doesn't always need to be a masterpiece, but it can have other impact and other import.
I did try this for an hour once in my gallery. Somebody came in, I said, well, the semiotic effect of the transitional soul as exemplified
Did they just
by this,
back out of
and
the
they were
door?
nodding.
Yeah.
It's like, it's nonsense. And they were like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And it was like, that's kind of like you're not communicating. Mm-hmm. You may be somehow explaining something, but they're not learning it. So
I think sales is an interesting thing just in general.
You do sales?
Yeah, I do, and I have for a long time. Though I think at this point, like the people who I work with, they know that I'll tell them what I really think. So it becomes kind of it's a different kind of sales, I suppose. Like, what will make sense in the long term? What can I really expect? Like, I think you have to get to a point, especially when you've been doing the same thing for so long, where people will believe you when you say something. Like that for me is everything, and I try to make that.
Well, they have to feel like they
shows.
came back from Atlanta and they met 20 new collectors and 4 curators and 2 corporate things, and they found an artwork.
The thing I always say to like
kind of
my gallery is it's like, okay, yes, like please come and try out the new community, and I will have all of these people in the room for you through our programming and our museum partnerships and so on and so forth. But it's really like, the thing about art fairs is it's up to the gallery to take advantage of them when they're there, right? Like we can only do so much to bring people to a space. I think it's the galleries who I find have the most success within my shows are ones then who are willing and able to have the conversations. And luckily, so many of our galleries are. I think that it's one of the reasons why our fairs have been around for as long as they have, that the galleries who come and do them know that they're going to meet a lot of curious people, and they're going to need to stand up and answer a lot of questions and really forge relationships. And I really saw that in Atlanta year one of like, everyone was up and engaged and excited to be there and excited to be in the room and to meet a new group of people. And it's what we're aiming for all the time.
One last question. So what else would you see in Atlanta that's great during the fair?
There's going to be this amazing symposium by Art Papers where Sarah Higgins is bringing down just all of these arts writers to talk about kind of the state of journalism in the art world.
State of journalism or criticism?
She'll have to answer that question. I actually don't know the answer to that because I think that could be relatively fraught with peril. I'd like to think both. I'd like to think that one informs the other. So I think that would be amazing to attend. The High is always a good time. And again, like there are 46 cultural institutions listed on my website alone. Go to all of them. That would be what I would recommend.
46 in 2 days.
Off you go.
We'll see,
Rent a car.
Rent a car, get a driver. Well, thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
I think it's certainly a subject we've been dealing with a lot in terms of the models for fairs. So Kelly, thank you again. Now remind our audience the dates, the VIP, and all the other dates.
So Atlanta Art Fair's second edition will take place September 25th to 28th at Pullman Yards, Porter Hall, right in the middle of Atlanta. We have so much going on throughout the fair's 3.5 days. I think it's about 4 talks in the theater a day, a ton of different cultural partner activations, 60 galleries from around the world with a great focus on the American South. So come and check it out, please.
Baer Faxt will be there.